In today's video, we're going to be breaking down my off-season wish list. A few things that I am begging, I'm praying, I'm on my knees pleading to Mickey Loomis to happen and do this offseason. Because there's a lot of changes that need to be made around this football team if we want to see us get back to the postseason. And really quick, I'm going to dive into all of that. Get in the comment section. But before we do, I'm inviting you to my birthday party. We're going to be going live on the channel on game day. We go live every single game day. But this week, it's going to be a little bit more fun. It's going to be a little bit more special. I'm turning 26 on Sunday. So if you want to come and hang out, you want to help me celebrate my birthday and just want to have a good time, throw down some drinks and have some fun and watch some Saints football with some Saints fans, this is the channel to be. Subscribe today. We will be live an hour before kickoff, so I hope to see you guys there for our tailgate. Having a lot of fun. It's going to be a blast. I can't wait to see you there, Who Dat Nation. And without further ado, let's get into my off-season wish list. Numero uno on my offseason wish list. Things that I think the Saints need to change. Please, Mickey Loomis, get me a quality head coach. That's the first thing. That is the first thing that we have to do. It's number one on this list for a reason. Because that's the first thing the Saints need to do this offseason. I'm not saying don't take your time. I'm not saying don't try and make sure you make the right hire. But I am saying the first thing you need to do is figure out the head coaching situation. Who's going to lead this team? Who's going to be the guy? Who is going to be the one holding the clipboard? Who's going to be talking to media? I think there's a handful of good targets out there. Here's 5 that I really like. Darren Rizzi, I think that he's done a phenomenal job as the interim head coach. I think he continues to build on his resume. I think he continues to build on the things that he's done well, and he continues to build that locker room into a much more cohesive unit. Ben Johnson, very obvious reasons there. Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator in Detroit, a very obvious reason there. The Lions offense and Lions defense are amongst the top in the league. So, of course, I want to see a little bit of that action. Aaron Glenn notably did have some run with the New Orleans Saints before moving up to Detroit with Dan Campbell. Mike Vrabel, I think he could be an excellent option as well. He's a ship stabilizer if I've ever seen one. He might be the guy that could help get this Saints team and this Saints squad and lead it back into the right direction and to the point where we know and we can be good again for a handful of years. Joe Brady, I also like as an option, the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. Questions are fair to say, well, is he so good because of Josh Allen? Is he so good because of that offense? I don't know. But I think that Joe Brady would be an interesting one to bring in for an interview. But, these are probably my top 4 in no particular order. Now, another thing. Please, Mickey Loomis. Please, please, please add me some wide receiver talent. I'm tired. Let me just say this. I do not mean any disrespect to any of the guys on the roster, but I'm tired of watching the practice squad go out and play. I just am. I mean, Chris Olave dealing with a concussion. Rashid Shaheed out for the season. Bub Means dealing with injuries. Cedric Wilson, come on. I'm tired of the backups getting all this run because of injuries. We don't have we have high-end talent, but we don't have a lot of depth. We don't have quality depth in the wide receiver group. And this is a problem that's been the case for the Saints for, honestly, a few years now. So let's talk about some draft targets. Here are 5 players. I don't have any order. I don't have any personal preference. I like any of these 5 guys on your screen right now. T-Mac is a phenomenal football player. He has the size profile that I want. Isaiah Bond, a little bit of a do-it-all guy, a very speedy player, had some good tape at Alabama, has good tape for the Longhorns. Luther Burden, a slot guy, but he can also line up on the outside. He is a just gadget, a weapon, if I've ever seen it. And then I also like Emeka Egbuka and Trey Harris. Trey Harris is a little bit more of a big-bodied guy, and I think that he could also fit the size profile of what the Saints are missing. But Emeka Egbuka, the Saints and Ohio State, that pipeline has always been strong, so why not run it back? And there are some players, some pretty notable names in free agency. T. Higgins. God, it would be nice to see him on the New Orleans Saints, wouldn't it? I mean, getting T. Higgins in the black and gold, that would feed families. Chris Godwin, Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Would he want to come to New Orleans? Probably not. Needless to say, he's a free agent, and maybe money talks. Amari Cooper, he got traded from the Browns to the Bills. He's been a good target for Josh Allen. He is still a good football player, and he's quietly a really good football player and a good wide receiver. DeAndre Hopkins, I Totally honest, don't see a world where the Chiefs are going to not let DeAndre Hopkins come back. Like, they're going to probably bring him back next year. He's been really good with Mahomes. And Stephon Diggs, he's a diva. There's a lot of extracurriculars that come with him, but you cannot doubt the talent that he has. F him for the Minneapolis Miracle, but look, if he can do that in the black and gold to another team, I'm all for it. Hell, that would be even fun if it was against the Vikings. And really quick, we got a lot more things that I need the Saints to do. My wish list, I'm feeling like a kid talking to Santa, sitting on his lap, just telling him all the things that I want right now. It's extensive. It's a long list of things, but I would not be able to tell you what that list was if it weren't for our friends over at Prize Picks, today's presenting sponsor. You guys can get started at Prize Picks and get $50 instantly when you play $5. In Prize Picks, it's fully guaranteed. And here's the deal, Saints fans. Pickmas has begun. So Merry Pickmas to you. Merry Pickmas to you. Normally we say Merry Rismas, but today it's Merry Pickmas. Because you can get up to 200 times your cash. Let me say that again. With Pickmas, there is a shot, and you have a shot, to win up to 200 times your cash. And you can get started when you download the Prize Picks app and use code CLNS. You'll get $50 instantly when you play $5, just as a reminder on that deal. Here's an example of a Prize Picks lineup you can cook up. This is what I'm rolling with for this week. Maddie and I, we've been taking our winnings every single week and been using that on the weekends for our date night. So sometimes we go and ball out and get some sushi. Other times we're ordering a Little Caesars pizza, eating some leftovers, and watching a movie on Netflix. So sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But and at least in my book, and at least in my experience. However, maybe you're a lot smarter than I am. Maybe you have a lot more ball knowledge, and if you do, you can turn that ball knowledge into some cold, hard cash. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS. You'll get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even need to win to receive the bonus. It's guaranteed. So shout out to Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, now this is an obvious one. Pretty straightforward. You guys could have seen this one coming. I got to see the cap space get cleared up. And, that requires a hard conversation. That requires tough evaluations and tough discussions around some good people and some good players. Right now, as it sits, the Saints are about $77 million over the cap in 2025. Just right now. Obviously, the cap will increase. That number will go down. We'll see how things pan out. I am here to tell you, though, the path to cap compliance is actually pretty straightforward. And, I don't know if Cam Jordan will retire this offseason. To be totally honest, I don't think he will. Maybe he does, but probably not. But if he retires, you save $11 million. Ryan Ramczyk, I do believe he's going to retire. You save $18 million there. You restructure Derek Carr, or you can cut him as a post-June 1 designation, and you save $30 million right there. Eric McCoy, if you restructure his contract, $5.5 million in savings for a grand total right here, $64.5 million. I mean, look at that. I just saved us $64 million with four people. Not that hard. It's just not. And sure, there's other things you need to do, but I don't think it's going to be this massive issue like everyone blows it up to be this time of the year. And worth noting for Derek Carr, in case he doesn't get cut, in case the injury that he's currently dealing with in his non-throwing hand and concussion protocol, if he cannot pass a physical by March 17th, $30 million gets immediately triggered, and he gets paid that in 2025. So that's something worth noting. Can they get him to not have to do that? I think it's in the best interest for the Saints to at least not risk it, because if you do cut Derek Carr, you can also save $30 million there. So you can either restructure him and save $30 million, you can cut him and save $30 million, or you can just restructure it, or you can just deal with it and let it play out. I don't think that's what they're going to do. They're going to do one of the two, whether it's restructure or cut him. It's just a matter of which one they're going to go with. And so for me personally, I think the better option is to bring back Derek Carr, restructure it, and then he can get off the books next year for a little bit less, hopefully. However, I do not want you to sit here and play this game of, oh, well, Derek Carr's, we got to get him out of here. We can trade him away. We can do this. We can do that, blah, blah, blah. The best routes for the Saints are either cut him or restructure him. Just plain and simple. The most easiest, it is the easiest. It's the most straight, direct way to save some money around his contract because he has owned a lot of money. So I want you to make the call for me, Who Dat Nation. What would you do? Cut or keep Derek Carr? Get down in the comment section. Share your thoughts. Type C for cut. Type K for keep. This is going to be the pinned comment, so if you get hit with the YouTube ad break, make sure you share your thoughts down in the comment section below. I can't wait to see what you guys have to say. Alrighty, I need some run stoppers, hey, Saints fans. I am so damn tired of watching these games week in and week out and never, ever, ever being pleased with how they play against the run. Like, quite frankly, every team has their best running game against the New Orleans Saints, and that's for a good reason. It's because they are dead last in opponents' yards per rush. They're giving up 5 yards per carry. That is dead last in the National Football League. Can't have that. Playoff teams are not dead last in rushing yards per game, or rushing yards per carry, nor rushing yards per game, which the Saints are very low there too. And it's not just running backs. It's not just jet sweeps. It's quarterbacks too. A halfway mobile quarterback is literally the biggest kryptonite for the Saints. Whether he's moving around the pocket and avoiding a sack, whether he's tucking it and taking off and running, the Saints suck against the run. They're terrible against mobile quarterbacks, and they're terrible against quarterbacks when they are on the move. So the Saints need to add some run stoppers. I got some guys here in the draft for you. Let's talk about Mason Graham. I think that he could be an excellent option as a defensive tackle for Michigan. Walter Nolan as well. I think that he could be a really good run stopper coming out of Ole Miss. You can see the PFF grades right below their names. A 91.5 run defense grade. Kenneth Grant, not mentioned on this list, but another option. He's just the overall best defensive tackle, so maybe he's a guy that the Saints explore in the draft. Alfred Collins and Tyleik Williams, both are also really good at stopping the run, according to PFF, and just according to draft experts everywhere. So if you guys want a run stopper in the draft, especially in round 1, here are 5 good options, and I'll give you a 6th in Kenneth Grant. Now, really quick, I want to remind you, it's going to be a very, very busy offseason, so be sure you subscribe so that way you don't miss a thing. A lot of changes coming, whether it's head coach or between the head coach, between potential quarterbacks, QB2 battle between Hayner and Rattler, who's going to be the quarterback of the future, who do we go and sign in free agency, how do we clear up all this money. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening around the black and gold. So subscribe, that way you don't miss a thing, because we all know ESPN, Pat McAfee, Fox, CBS, NBC, none of those guys are going to talk about the Saints. So I'm here to do that for you. Now, the last thing, I need an improved offensive line. And I honestly don't think the O-line's been all that bad. I genuinely don't think the Saints' offensive line has been terrible. But I do think that it's a position that needs some extra depth. And I think that it needs higher end depth. And I think that it's a team, or that it's a unit that, quite frankly, could be a lot better. So when it comes down to some draft targets, what about Kelvin Banks or Jake Majors? Both players coming out of Texas. Now you can see you have 2 tackles, you have 2 guards, and a center. So basically, I just gave you a rookie offensive line, and you can just pick and choose who you like. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Tate Ratledge, the Saints better freaking draft him. I mean, look at him. That's a football guy if I've ever seen it. The mullet and stash combo as an offensive guard. That right there alone, I don't need to watch a second of his tape. That right there is a Hall of Fame, All-Pro, just generational offensive guard. There it is. That's my TED Talk. Will Campbell, obviously, he's going to be a really good football player in the National Football League. He's done some really good things for the LSU Tigers. But, I don't think that the tackles have been all that bad, specifically Taliese Fuaga and Trevor Penning. I think they've actually been pretty impressive. But you can also address the O-line in free agency. You can go Garrett Bowles. You can go Trey Smith. Worth noting, James Daniels. He has a very high PFF score. However, he is dealing with an injury, and he's been out for quite a while, dealing with an injury. Drew Dahlman, a center for the Atlanta Falcons. He's been pretty good. I could see Atlanta wanting to bring him back, though. But Ronnie Staley, another offensive tackle that maybe the Saints could look at in terms of bringing in to add to the offensive side of the trenches. And look, all of this comes down to Mickey Loomis. All of this comes down to whether or not Mickey Loomis is going to make the right decisions. So for me, this is my wish list to Mickey. I know some of y'all, you probably said, I want Mickey Loomis gone. I want him fired. So this is your chance. If you haven't sounded off already, do not hold back. What would you do with Mickey Loomis? Would you fire him? Or would you let him stay as the GM of the New Orleans Saints? I think both options are fair. I think both options have a good argument. For me, I just don't see a world where the Saints are going to fire him. I wouldn't mind him having a new role. I wouldn't mind Kai Harley taking over. I think he's a really smart and young and creative and good mind in the sport of football that's evolved a lot since Mickey Loomis has been at his peak. Point being, I'm kind of in the camp of fire Mickey Loomis, but let me know. I want you to let sound off and don't hold back for you. Alrighty, Saints fans, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for tuning into the program. No matter where you are or how you're watching, we always appreciate the Who Dat Nation for making us a part of their day. So I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Get back to the fun. Get back to the festivities. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for our watch party Sunday, an hour before kickoff. I hope to see you guys there. We're going to be having a lot of fun. It's actually not tomorrow. I'm putting this video out after the live show. So we're going to be live on Sunday for the watch party to celebrate my birthday. I hope to see you guys there. Y'all stay golden. We will see you next time.